On beautiful days like today, you'll see a lot of motorcycles on the road, and often they have passengers on the back. What happens if that passenger is hurt in an accident? Are they covered? And with more people out and about today, we're seeing more pedestrian accidents. Are pedestrians protected? Here with some answers is Jeff Kelly. He's an attorney with Harding and Associates. He's in for Phil Harding this morning. We're going to be seeing a lot more of you around here, right?
Well, I certainly hope so. I look forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be great taking over for Phil today. Okay, so why are we focusing on motorcycle passengers and pedestrians today?
Well, because a lot of times people don't realize what they really need to protect themselves when they're a passenger on a motorcycle or a pedestrian. And it actually has a common insurance coverage that I was going to talk about today.
Yeah, let's start with passengers on a motorcycle. And I mentioned to you, I'm riding on I-25 at 5:30 a.m. the other day. I almost hit a motorcycle rider. And I felt so bad. I instantly thought of you guys. I really didn't see them. It gets even scarier when they have a passenger on there. So we're really focusing on passengers and the kind of insurance you need when you're riding with a friend, right?
That's right. And you really don't know what insurance coverage is on that motorcycle.
Yeah.
So what you can do to protect yourself is you can have your own insurance on another vehicle, which is called the UM/UIM insurance. It stands for underinsured or uninsured protection.
Yeah,
So-
we're going to bring that information up. There it is.
And so when you have that, if you are a covered person under your own UM or UIM policy, then you will be protected for bodily injury, that's BI, sustained when you are injured in an accident that you may not be in your vehicle.
Okay, now I have questions. I mean, if I'm riding with somebody, I've got to protect myself, but shouldn't the motorcycle rider have their own insurance that also covers me?
Yes, and to be legal, they have to have what's called bodily injury liability insurance. That's the legal standard requirement. The additional coverage that they could have, but may not have, would be the UM/UIM.
Okay, and we're going to bring that information up now about that insurance for the motorcycle driver themselves. So why don't you go from there?
Okay, so in a motorcycle accident, the situation that could arise is that there's a driver of the vehicle that may have struck the motorcycle, and then there's the motorcycle. So there's two insurance policies potentially there. Now, the third backup policy would be your own UM or UIM policy, which we're identifying in the graphic, and you can see the line item there for the coverage for UM/UIM. That actually happens.
That's the additional coverage down there?
Yes, that would be supplemental insurance, an additional type of coverage purchased for that particular motorcycle policy right there.
Okay.
And that would protect both the passenger and the rider of that particular motorcycle in the event the driver of the car might be uninsured or underinsured. And then there's a third policy we'll talk about more about your own policy.
Okay. Now, we're moving on to pedestrian accidents. I never think of this. I mean, how am I supposed to be covered if I'm involved in a pedestrian accident? And you see a lot of these this time of year.
Well, if it involves an automobile, then it triggers coverage that you have the option of having on your car.
Okay.
Your car won't be at the scene, but you have coverage on your automobile. The UM/UIM coverage follows you as a pedestrian. It follows you as a passenger. Why that coverage has a protects you if you have that coverage on your policy.
Okay. You mentioned something about stacking. That's more than one policy. What are we talking about here?
That is a situation if you are a passenger and you have, like I mentioned before, the driver that struck the motorcycle would potentially have their liability policy. So that'd be policy number one. The second policy would be the policy that the motorcycle should have, and that would be liability, because there could be joint negligence between the motorcycle driver and the auto driver. So that's two policies that an injured passenger would be looking and seeking to find coverage there to compensate them for their injuries. The third one is the passenger's UM/UIM coverage. So there's three policies typically that passenger could optimally look to recover from. And that's, you stack those three policies for each layer of additional coverage.
Yeah, it's always good to have more coverage than you need, and it really isn't a lot more money, right?
It's really, if you talk to your agent and talk to them very specifically about medical payment coverage and UM coverage, they can price that for you. It's certainly going to be worth the dollars you spend for that if you have a catastrophic injury.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the advice today. Phil will be back next Friday, and if you have any legal questions for him, he wants to hear from you. Just log on to coloradosbest.tv, look for his photo, and click there. You can submit your legal questions, and he takes the time to answer them personally, and he might even address your question right here on Colorado's Best. If you would like to contact Phil at his office, Harding & Associates, the number's 303-762-9500, or online at hlaw.org. Coming up on